Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the channel, where today I am going to be reviewing the Neverwinter quadrilogy, 4 books by R.A. Salvatore, which are books 23, 24, 25, and 26 in the Legend of Drizzt, not the first 3, but here, these 4 books, which are Gauntlegrim, Said Neverwinter, Sharon's Claw, and The Last Threshold. The Last Threshold, which is not The Last Threshold in the same way that The Last Crusade was not Indiana Jones' Last Adventure, because these are books, I've already mentioned 23, 24, 25, 26, and there are another 13 books in the series, so God knows. Right, so before I start the review in due course, if you haven't done so and you would like to know more, bit of background, reading entry points to the Legend of Drizzt series, check out my video, reading guide, link in the description below. And welcome to what is going to be a fairly stream of consciousness ranty review. I haven't prepared this at all. I've been reading these books one a month, more or less, since January, February, I don't know when. And it's been a roller coaster of emotions for me.
Anthony, wake up!
At the moment, I am a little bit like someone that has got a problem and can't let it go. So I started reading The Legend of Drizzt when I was still a teenager, back in the 90s, right? So, to be honest, there's no reason for anyone to read these 4 books unless you are firmly following the timeline and you really are a fan, or you got a fondness and affection, or you just can't put it down because, like me, you started reading them, you're going to continue. But I'm not even going to try to summarize the plot of the series, because the plot is just, it starts being one thing, it becomes something else, then it goes something else, then it goes something else. There is no commonality or thread linking the 4 books together. They form a series, but they might as well have been 2 books here, 1 book there, 1 book there. Really, like, honestly, if you know what I'm trying to say. So I got a little bit annoyed with the first book, because the setting off argument is something we had already explored. Basically, King Bruno Battlehammer wants to go and find the ancient dwarven kingdom of Gauntlegrim that has been lost for generations, which is exactly the same thing that he tried to do in the Icewind Dale trilogy when he set off to find Mithril Hall. So, really, like 20 books later, we come in with the same plot, argument and device to get us going. So, anyway. Then things happen, and then the antagonists that we've met in book 1 and 2 sort of they just disappear. They're not killed. We've dealt with that. We move on to a different side quest, and the overall feel I get from this trilogy is that this is more like someone has written down the Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and this is what you get, and we just jump from mission to mission sort of thing. Which is not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, but I found it frustrating. I felt, and I'm not entirely wrong with this, that there's an element of product pushing. Basically, these books came out around the time of the revised role-playing game, the Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition game, and the Neverwinter computer game that came out, hence why it's called Neverwinter, and it's all these tie-ins, all these products. And what came first, the books or the computer game, or the computer game and the books, and everything is like a package together. And the problem is that even though I've read all the other previous 22 books, I found myself wondering what is actually going on. There are crucial events in the lore of the Forgotten Realms that have taken place off-page. And some of the stuff that happens here won't make any sense to you if you don't play the computer games, if you don't follow kind of the role-playing game and events there and stuff like that. So I had to do a bit of Wikipedia, Forgotten Realms wiki sort of digging around to fully understand what was going on here. So that left me a little bit frustrated. Also, it felt, like I said before, like someone is writing the Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, the problem with the game is that as your character progresses and levels up and becomes more and more powerful, your enemies need to become more and more powerful to keep the level of challenge and engagement of the game going. Little bit similar here. So our antagonists have been getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and over the last few books now we're dealing with undead wizards. We had leaks. Now we've got demons from another dimension. The Shadowfell. Where did the Shadowfell come from? Why are these people here all of a sudden? It's not explained. The tearing of the weave and the spell plague. These are all crucial world events that are not explained at any point in any of these 26 books. You need to find out what is going on outside of there, and it can be a little bit confusing. And then you've got like new races that, like tieflings. Tieflings were not a playable character until I think 4th edition, maybe 3.5, but I didn't play Dungeons and Dragons 3 or 3.5. I played 4, I played 5th. Tieflings I don't consider canon because I started playing Dungeons and Dragons back in the 80s, early 90s, so to me whatever was there in 2nd edition, that's where it is. And tieflings, like half human, half demon things, shouldn't be a playable character. But anyway, there they are. All of a sudden, they appear. They're part of the world, and no explanation. Well, new races. 23 books into the series, and you get new races coming with no explanation. So yeah, I got a little bit annoyed. I felt that sort of thing. This is product pushing. That this is just someone's written their campaign, and I was like, why am I reading this? And then I also know what's coming in the next book, in the Sundering, and in future books. So like our beloved characters from the early books who died like 100 years ago in the timeline of the Legend of Drizzt are coming back to life. So I know that's what's going to happen in the next book. So like, oh my god, like, do I really want to read that? Well, turns out that I do. I really enjoyed the 4th book here, The Last Threshold. It was really enjoyable. I cannot quite put my finger on it, but it really made me want to carry on reading this series. I know, right? So after all of that, after the vapidness and the vacuity and the emptiness and the artificiality of the whole thing, if you've made it this far, Salvatore knows how to pull at your heartstrings and to keep you going. And, you know, it's in by no small measure helped by the fact that, if you are familiar with the series, Jarl Laxale Baenre is still around, causing his chaos and doing his thing. And it is a pretty cool character. Is he a buddy? Is he a goodie? Is he an antagonist? Is he an ally? Who knows? So I want to continue. And the books, like at some point in this 3rd book or so, he's planted seeds for what's coming in the future, because we followed Drizzt all this time, this super honorable, gooder than good, better than better character. But now we got a question, because is he a champion of the goddess of nature, Mieliki, like a good sort of legal, good, honest, happy god? Or is he an agent of chaos? Or the Spider Queen Love, the evil goddess of the Drow elves? Because it would seem that he's not, because his character is totally in opposition with his heritage and where he comes from and everything. But Love is the goddess of chaos, and the mere existence of Drizzt introduces and induces a huge amount of chaos and stuff in the Drow society. So important players in the series are starting to question whether secretly he's not a champion of the evil goddess. What's going on here? Turns out I want to find out. I am going to continue reading this series. Maybe, perhaps not this year necessarily. I may pick up the Sundering, just one more book this year, maybe, perhaps, and I may pick up the next trilogy in 2024, because I just want to read other things and stuff. But I thought at halfway point through these 4 books that I was going to be done with it, that this is it, that I don't want to know anymore, but I was wrong. I do want to know more. I want to continue reading The Legend of Drizzt, and this is getting silly. It's getting silly. There's 39, almost 40 books. We're getting this world silly here now. But I'm happy to continue, and I'm happy to carry along. I don't know. These are my thoughts on the Neverwinter series. I mean, Overall, the tonality of these 4 books is a bit darker, or much darker than previous ones. You know, that we go to dark places. We get a background story on spoiler. Should I make a spoiler on Artemis and Trelly. We get a bit of a background there and how messed up his past was and the horrible things that happened to him. So I think maybe Salvatore knows that his audience has grown with him, and therefore things are getting a little bit more dark, for want of a better expression. But this is not the happy, swashbuckling, outright sort of adventuring D&D thing that it was back in the 90s. I mean, still heavily is, but with a few brushstrokes of grimdark, for want of a better expression. Anyway, now I'm gonna finish. Thank you ever so much for watching. Please, if you haven't done so, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. Take loads and loads of care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.